welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here for the first time, welcome. My name's Trina-Louise, and over here on this channel we do all things plus size fashion and beauty and more. If you are new here for the first time, thank you so much for joining us. If you enjoy watching this video, if you could press subscribe and stick around, I would really appreciate it. So today's video is a first for me, which is really exciting. It's always fun when I get to try out new videos for the first time. So you'll have to let me know if you enjoy this video and if you'd like me to do this more, because I am going to be doing a testing video of the new Huda Beauty foundation. This is the Flawless Filter Luminous Matte Full Coverage Liquid Foundation, and this is what it looks like in its cardboard packaging. It's the usual sort of Huda Beauty black with the white and pink writing. This is £34. I'll go through all the claims of it when we're doing the try on, because I've obviously done that bit already in my time, but you guys haven't seen it, so I don't want to repeat myself. But I'm really excited to try this foundation. I have got a bit of an issue when it comes to more expensive foundations because they really scare me. I'm quite picky with foundations, and the thought of like buying a really expensive foundation and then not liking it or using it really scares me. But I've been wanting to try a Huda foundation for a while, and this one sounded like the most what I would be looking for. So I took the plunge and I thought, let's test this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you me applying it, give you some first impressions, and then I'm going to do some check-in points to let you know how it's wearing throughout the day. And I've also got the Huda Beauty setting powder, which I'm going to try a little bit in this video. This is new to me as well. I haven't tried this out yet, so I can let you know my first impressions on the powder. So if you like the sound of that and you want to see what I thought of this foundation, then just keep watching. So I've got you zoomed in quite closely because I want you to be able to see what is going on. I've tried to work really hard with my lighting so that it's bright enough that you can see clearly what's going on, but not so bright that it kind of hides anything, like any realness on my face. If your lights are really bright, it can wash out sort of any redness or any texture on your skin. So I'm hoping you can see my skin pretty as it is. So as you can see at the moment, I've got some redness that I just tend to have, and then I've got some blemishes that are left over from a breakout, but my skin is relatively clear at the moment, so we will see how the foundation does. I'm going to test it with a brush on one side, this side, and a sponge on the other, because foundations tend to work better with a brush or a sponge, and it just differs per foundation. So we'll test it out with both and then we will see. So where is the foundation? Where did I put it? Got it! So today we are testing the new foundation from Huda Beauty. It is called the Faux Filter Luminous Matte Full Coverage Liquid Foundation. It's a bit of a long name. It is £34. When I bought this, Boots had a 20% off deal. They still do, so I got this for £27.20. So if you're interested, I'll leave the link down below, and if the deal is still up, that saves you, what was it, like £6.80? So that was a good saving. So this foundation has a heck of a lot of claims. It is meant to be 24-hour wear. I mean, who's wearing their foundation for 24 hours? It's meant to be waterproof, smudge-proof, sweat-proof, humidity-proof, transfer-proof, mask-proof, life-proof. Wow, Dubai proof, because Huda Beauty is based in Dubai, pool party proof, fragrance free, non-drying, comfortable wear, formulated for all skin types. So I have high hopes for this foundation. I really wanted to try the original formula, but because I've got dry skin, I was always a little bit scared. So when they brought out this more luminous matte finish, I was like, gotta get this. I get really scared of buying expensive foundations, so I just don't, because if a foundation doesn't work, it doesn't work, and that's a lot of money. So I'm hoping that my investment is not going to be wasted on this. But I love a matte foundation. Even though I've got dry skin, I do love a matte foundation, and if this is going to be full coverage with a bit more of a glow but still matte, then that sounds pretty perfect to me. So I've got this in the shade Angel Food, which is 110 neutral. So let's have a little look at it. So it has the same packaging as the original foundation, with the ombre and the black lid and a pump. It looks really nice and I really like the packaging. We get 1.18 fluid ounces, which is a good amount because a foundation normally has about 1 fluid ounce. So let's put this on my face. I'm nervous, but I am excited. So we'll go in with the brush on this side and the sponge on the other side. And I'll probably do just under a pump on each side because I usually do about a pump and a half of foundation. So let's pop it on the brush. Might take a bit of time to come out of the pump. Okay, so let's see. Oh, I'm so scared. It's so much money for a foundation that if it's not good, then that's really sad. But if it works out, then, you know, it's worth it. So, colour, I think it's going to be okay. When I do a brush, I usually just sort of stamp it around to get the product around, and then I'll start to blend it in. I do normally prefer a sponge. There's only a couple of foundations that I prefer the brush for. So we'll see. I think, yeah, the colour's okay. It might be a tiny bit yellow, maybe a tiny bit dark for me, but I think we can make it work. So I'm gonna blend this in and we will see. So that's what it looks like with the brush. I might just zoom you in a little bit closer. At the moment, I'm not crazy about it with the brush. I don't feel like it's covered up all my redness here, which hopefully you can see. I think I'd need to go in with a bit more product on the brush. I do feel like it is picking up some of my dryness. And yeah, you can see on my forehead, I don't know if you can see, but it's just showing some of my dryness. But I do prefer a sponge normally. So we'll go in on this side with the sponge. Let me zoom you back out just a little bit. I do prefer a sponge because I wet my sponges and I find the moisture helps just set a matte foundation better on my dry skin. So we'll go in with the sponge on this side and then we'll put a little bit more foundation if we need to cover up some of the redness, and we'll just play around. So I usually, if I'm doing my sponge, I'll pop it on my hand. I did a full pump this time because I feel like this is more of a 2-pump foundation than a pump and a half. But we'll see how it looks with the sponge. But I think, knowing how I feel about foundations, I'm probably going to prefer it. So again, I just dot it around and then we bounce. I do think it's a tad dark for me, you know. So far, I definitely prefer it with the sponge. Like, it just looks a little bit less dry. Let me bring you in. Like, you can see it looks less dry on this side to this side. I've still got a little bit left on my hand, actually. I thought I'd used all of the product up, so let me just add a little bit more, because so far it's not giving me the full coverage that I was expecting. That's covered up the redness a bit more. I definitely think this shade's a tiny bit dark for me, but I think I can make it work. So you can see there's still some of my blemishes peeking through and there's still a little bit of redness. So far from 2 pumps or just under 2 pumps, it's not completely full coverage, but I definitely prefer it with the sponge. So I think I'm just going to put another pump on my hand, just go over my whole face with the sponge, because I'm not a fan of the way it looks with the brush. And then we'll take it from there. So if my angle changed at all just then, I had to change my battery because it was going to die and I suck at pre-charging my batteries. So that is what the foundation is looking like. It feels like it's a bit too dark for me, which is annoying, but not so dark that I can't make it work. I did have to use more foundation than I would like to use to get the full coverage effect, but I wanted to see if I could make it go full coverage. I tend to try and use less foundation if I can, because of my dry skin. The less foundation I need to use, the better that it looks. So this is probably about 2.5, nearly 3 pumps worth of foundation, and it is pretty full coverage. You can see a tiny bit of that redness peeking through still. My nose was a little bit harder to cover. Ignore the redness around my eyes. I don't like to put foundation underneath my eyes because I don't want the buildup of foundation and concealer. But I'd say it's relatively full coverage. I wouldn't say it's like bam, like instant 100% full coverage, but there's a good amount of coverage there. It does look a little bit cakey around here. I'm not sure if you can see. And I can definitely see it on my skin, but yeah, and it looks a bit cakey and dry on my forehead, but not awful. And to have this much foundation on my skin that is a matte full coverage foundation, my skin normally looks worse than this. I struggle to get proper full coverage with my skin without it starting to look dry and flaky. So for this amount of coverage, I'm quite happy with how it's turned out. And like, as soon as I look a little bit from afar with the mirror, like I'm holding it about like arm's length out, you can't see. I can't tell at all, and it looks really nice. So I do wish it wasn't a bit too dark, but we can make it work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop on some concealer, and then we'll come back to try out the setting powder, which I haven't tried just yet, and then we'll take it from there. So I've just used a combination of the e.l.f. camo concealers. I mix the original with the hydrating because I find that I prefer them together, and I use them in the shade Fair Rose. So I don't think I need to set this foundation because it's almost set itself, and I don't want to add anything else on top of it. I do tend to set my foundations really, really lightly, but with this being so matte, I don't want to put any powder on it, and I can still feel it on my skin, but it is drying down. I don't know if it's going to dry down fully, but it's drying down enough that I feel confident that I don't need to set it. So I'm just going to set my under eyes with the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Loose Baking and Setting Powder. With setting powder, I am quite fussy because dry skin. Take a shot every time she says dry skin. And I use the tiniest amount because that's just the way that it works best for me. This is what it looks like inside. It's just got one of those nets, and then you can just get a little bit on your brush and tap off the excess. And I just make sure there's no creases under my eyes, and then set them. So from first impressions, just using the powder under my eyes, I kind of like the way it's looking. My under eyes can look dry and cakey very quickly, but so far they're looking quite nice. So I need to test this out properly, like with different foundations and actually on my face, not just my under eyes. But so far, so good. So I'm just going to speed through doing the rest of my makeup, but I'll list all the products that I use down below. But just so you know which Huda products I'm going to use, I'm going to be using the Mercury Retrograde palette. Let me show you this in case you haven't seen it. It is just so beautiful. I think I'm going to go for a bit of a pinky look, surprise, surprise. I'm going to use my mascara, the Legit Lashes. I'm going to use the liquid lipstick in Legend. I have been wearing this in most of my videos recently because I'm in love with it. And the Silk Lip Balm in Sugar, which I'm actually going to put some on now. My lips, for someone who uses as much lip balm as I do, my lips are not okay this week. I normally don't struggle with them, probably because I use so much lip balm. But this week, they are not my friend. Okay, so that is my full face done. I've had this foundation on for probably about 40 minutes so far, and I think I like it. I don't think it would be my everyday go to work foundation because it is very full coverage, but for like filming or for nights out or when I just want to do a more glam look, I'm really enjoying it. I'll bring you back in so you can see there is a little bit of texture and dryness picking up, but I don't have a foundation that is this full coverage that looks this good. Like, I think the closest thing I have is my Maybelline Superstay, and I think this is even more full coverage than that. Granted, there was a little bit of like redness still peeking through from my blemishes, but I also didn't put concealer on them, which I could have done. But I think at this point it's looking really nice. So obviously we're gonna check back in through the hours. It is 5:20. I have got 2 and a bit videos to film still today, so I'll check in a few hours and I can show you how it's wearing. I'm obviously not going to wear it for 24 hours, even if I'd filmed this at the beginning of the day, which was the plan. I was never going to wear it for 24 hours because that's gross. But I will check in and let you know what I think. But so far, I'm really enjoying it, and I think it looks really nice. So far, thumbs up for sure. But as I said, I'll check in later and let you know what I think. Okay, so I am back. It is now nearly 12:15, which is ridiculous. I'm very much looking forward to taking my makeup off. But it turns out if you start a foundation test at like, what was it, 4:30? Then you're going to be wearing your makeup late. So I need to get better at starting things earlier in the day, but hey ho. So this foundation has been on for, it's late, do the maths, let's say it was 4:30, so that's 6.5 hours, 7.5 hours should I say. Oh my gosh, I'm tired, and it's not looking the best. I've tried to turn my lights down a bit so that you can sort of see the truth, but let me zoom you in. Okay, so hopefully you can see. But what I'm seeing is a lot of dryness. So especially, I don't know if you'll see, but around my forehead looks really patchy and dry. It looks quite textured here. It's kind of rubbed off my chin, but that's partly because my lipstick, we had pizza for dinner, we had Pizza Hut for dinner, and my lipstick I think mixed with the oil in the pizza and transferred onto my chin, and that's kind of taken a lot of the foundation away. It's also come off my nose. It seems to have come off my cheeks a bit. I didn't set it down with powder, so that could be partly why. It looks really cakey around here. Yeah, it looks really patchy, almost like scaly on my skin, which is a huge shame because I filmed straight after I'd done the first part of this video and my skin looked incredible. So for a good 2 hours my skin looked beautiful, but I've not looked at it for a few hours and I was a bit shocked when I did, especially the forehead. So that's not great. Like, oh, it looks awful around my nose. Like, I always struggle here, but it looks especially awful. Which is a shame. But yeah, it just looks so bad here. The under eyes, my under eyes never look great throughout the day. I really struggle with my under eyes, and they don't look awful for me. The powder seems to have sat relatively well. I always get huge creasing because I've got deep set wrinkles under my eyes, but actually the powder, I think I could enjoy the powder, so I need to play around with that more. But you can just see like it's all gone off my nose. Gosh, the like shadow of the light hitting the inner corner of my eye makes it look like I've got a big black mark on my eye, but I don't. It's literally just the shadow. So yeah, I'm not. Let me zoom out and I'll give you my final thoughts. So this is just my first impressions of the foundation, and it's a bit disappointing. It looked great straight away, so maybe if I had like a photo shoot or I was filming, it would look amazing. But for like a long wear test, I'm not impressed at this point, but I do need to try it out with different products. So I only tried it with a moisturizer this time because 9 times out of 10 that's how I wear my foundation. But maybe I need to test it with some different primers, try setting it, but as it is, I don't think it looks like, excuse me, I'm not gonna lie, I don't have a bra on because it's, you know, midnight and I'm about to go to bed. I'm a very professional YouTuber over here. But I don't think from afar it looks bad, but as soon as you get close and like really look at it, it just doesn't look great. Oh. Like you can see the redness of some of my blemishes peeking through. Oh god, it's just so cakey. I'm really sad because it looked so good. So this is not the end. I am going to test this foundation out more with different primers, different setting powders, maybe try using a little bit less and just experiment with it. But my first impression is not my favourite. Definitely if I need like 2 hours of amazing looking skin, like for a photo shoot, like I mentioned, this one would be great, but I need a foundation that's going to last me all day long. I don't want to finish, say if I go to work, I don't want to come home looking like this. So yeah, I don't know. I need to play around with this one a little bit more. But if you've tried this foundation and you've managed to make it work for you, please let me know in the comments because I'm so intrigued to hear. And I will report back to you maybe in a vlog or something once I've tested it out in different ways to see if I can make it work. But for now, I'm going to take my makeup off and I'm going to go get into bed, and I think we're going to watch an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine and go to sleep. But you'll have to let me know if you enjoyed this video because I've had so much fun making it, and I would love to test out some other foundations for you and do this kind of thing. So let me know if you would like to see that. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, if you could give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more of this kind of thing, if you want to subscribe and stick around, I'd really appreciate it, and I'll see you soon. Bye.